Hey guys, it's Robj here. Just before we get into the video, I'd like to let you know that it is sponsored by Ant Keeping Depot. So in today's video, we're going to be taking a look around a new product from WaKooshi called the Mercury Nest. Now the Mercury Nest is basically a founding setup, or a founding test tube setup, that houses a test tube, gives it the correct raise for heat cable, also gives it a full outworld, light protection and water feeding, as well as an easy place to feed a colony housed in a test tube. So let's take a look at the test tube's connection itself. So it's a push fit. Now it takes 150mm test tubes, but I tried a few different types of 150mm test tubes and not all of them fit, so it's probably recommended to use the ones that come with it or buy them specifically for it from WaKooshi, just to be 100% sure, if you need spares, that is. So basically, to set it up is pretty simple. Now I have a full build at the end of the video, and you can skip to that or just watch the rest of the video. But once you're at the built stage, to set it up, it's pretty simple. So you just want to turn your setup upside down, and you're going to want to push it in, because we're going to want to mark the test tube at the right segment just before the second foot, because that's where we want the ants to be up to. So I'm just going to do a little scratch on the plastic test tube here, and that's where I want the water to be filled to, and the cotton wool to pretty much be situated. So we have the sizing pretty close to perfect. So then go ahead and do a standard test tube setup, which is basically just fill it with water to just before your point, and then get a appropriate size piece of cotton wool, and then in one swift motion push it down into the water level, and then push the water level about halfway into the cotton bud itself. Then you have the test tube setup complete. Now WaKooshi include 3 different rings, which basically help keep humidity in the test tube and help the ants not pile stuff up, wanting a more secure entrance or a smaller entrance system. So there's 3 sizes, and they're just simply rings that push into place. Now how you pick the correct size is all based on your queen's gaster. So the biggest part of your queen, make sure that fits through. So once you've picked the size of that, just push it in until it's got some grip on the walls. Then it's simply a push fit into the nest. Now there's 2 ways of going about moving them in. You could put a test tube in the outworld, or point it into the outworld, or you could move them into the test tube and then you could put that test tube straight in. So it comes with a shield, a red acrylic shield, and this basically just push locks in. And you can see a little bit of the corner of the red shield is cut out. That allows you to put a heat cable through on one end, away from the water side, so it will reduce condensation. But there's nothing stopping light getting it from the top, and that's because this nest is pretty much designed to have a substrate of some sort at all times. So I'm going to go with this soil that WaKooshi is going to be selling themselves soon. But there's easier options like aquarium sand, collected soil that you've baked yourself. There's lots. Just be aware that, most of these things will create a fine particle dust, and with the static of acrylic, you'll need to clean the glass afterwards. There's not going to be much in the way of no dust at all. But once you've got that in, that blocks the light from getting down. Then you got your side red acrylics, and that will stop the light getting in there. So it gives your ants a lot more dim environment, and that's what they like. So then you simply just set up a mini test tube for water, which is basically 2 or 3 mils into the test tube, and then you immediately do your cotton bud, and the rest is water. That simply push fits into the barrel, and then the barrel just pushes in and twists upright and locks. So it's a push and twist. And it's pretty simple and pretty self-explanatory. Now, I've been using mine for quite a while now, and I can say it works pretty flawlessly. If anything, I would say, the thing I could suggest is, my wish is to give it a little bit wider legs, because I sometimes knock it and it does a little wobble, because it's quite top heavy, you know, in the design. So if it got a slightly wider footprint on its feet, that would be perfect. So we're going to move on to the building segment. Now, I've gone ahead and done these corners here, but basically you want the flat right angle sides to be on the acrylic's right angle, or the corner, and then the smoother side is the inner corner. And you just want to mimic that on both sides, and then also push in your water feeder connector. These are all pretty self-explanatory, but there is a superb written guide on their website, and I'll pop a link in the description. I advise you to watch this and then follow their more detailed written guide, because that is certainly going to be the best way of building it. But if you're pretty confident anyway, there's not really a need for a guide if you can just sort of look at something and figure out how it goes together anyway. But it is pretty well thought out, and a lot of the parts are just push fit and then screw. So at this stage, once you've got your two end pieces with all its corner joints, you simply want to take one of the sides and start fixing it up. Now they include everything you need to build it, including the Allen key, in the kit. And you've just got to build it up. Now, if you're quite young to that, you will need help from an adult, as, you know, there are small parts hanging around at this stage of the build, or it could just be a little technical for somebody to do, but it comes flat packed for a number of reasons. It's cheaper on you for shipping, it's also less likely to break when it's wrapped flat and protected, and overall does raise the chances of you getting an undamaged product at your door. So once you've got one side on, you just want to mimic the other side and get all 4 screws in. So you've got both sides on basically at this point. Once you've got both sides on, you're then going to want to move to the bottom, and you can just push in the test tube connector part quite easily, and then you take the floor, and you slide it in, and you simply just screw the bottom on once you've slid it into place. It's really rather well designed and goes together with minimal effort, really. Now once we've got to this stage, you're going to want to just finish off that, and then we're just going to put on the little foot. And then you're done. You should be able to stand it up upright. Then we just take the loose lid, and you just put in the 4 screws for this. And on the lid itself, you just want to take the acrylic piece and the 2 screws and just attach it to the 3D printed grip handles. That's a pretty simple procedure. Once you've gone ahead and done that, you can just simply click together the acrylic shield. And then we are pretty much done. Now this acrylic shield pretty much fits on by just putting the test tube in. Once the test tube's all locked and that, this should just then push down and pretty much hold itself, and you can lift it up and it shouldn't fall away. And that's pretty much the built stage. Now to do the water feeder is pretty simple, just fill it up virtually fully full, get a piece of cotton wool, put it in, and then just push it in so it has a little bit of room for the ants to get in, and then just take your bayonet piece and just push it into the slot all the way until you can feel it snugly sit into place, and then turn it at a slight angle to make sure the teeth line up, push it in, and then just turn so it's upright. And that's ready to go. Put some substrate in, move your ants in. It's that easy. But I really quite like this, and it is quite inexpensive. And what's not to like about it? Anyway guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.